Before we get into the meat of today's show, I want to briefly address something here at the top that relates to something we've been talking about for years about what makes it into the corporate media narrative and what doesn't. And one of the things I've told you many times before is that stories with a good beginning, middle, and end, a clear beginning, middle, and end, are much more likely to be made stories by corporate media. And so, for example, when we talk about shootings, a particular shooting where we have the shooting is going on, they've captured or killed the shooter, what's the backstory on the shooter, thoughts and prayers are sent, the victims, boom, that it's done. Okay. The bigger story of the constant, and I mean almost daily mass shootings in the United States, more than daily, in fact, is less of a story because it's an ongoing story. It doesn't have a very clear beginning, middle, and end. And I can think of no greater illustration of this than the fact that since the shooting in Uvalde, Texas last week, there have been 17 mass shootings in the United States. 17 more shootings since the Uvalde, Texas shooting. You can read about them if it's, it is depressing reading. You can read about them at gunviolencearchive.org. And you will see that, for example, over the weekend in Philly, there was a mass shooting where 2 people were killed and 2 people were injured. In Henderson, Nevada, 7 were injured in a mass shooting. In Phoenix, Arizona, there was a mass shooting where 1 person was killed and 5 people were injured. And you can just look at the list. And as I've said before, every single one of these is its own story. You could look at the Henderson, Nevada shooting, for example, and it pops up a Facebook page, or it will eventually, from the Henderson Police Department explaining what happened. And there was a reported shooting and police and fire responded and on and on and on. Every single one of these is a story. And it is a constant. And that's why it's not as big of a media story. Individually, any of these might make news or they might not. Most of them have at least like a local news article that's written about it. But consider everything that's happened in Uvalde, Texas, learning about the shooter and what happened and how they got in and on and on. The victims, the mourning. There have been 17 more such incidents with victims and perpetrators and police responses and affected families, etc. 17 of them since Uvalde. Most of us for most of us, the last shooting we really heard about was the one in Uvalde, Texas. So it's a story with seemingly no end. And that doesn't make it a good corporate media story, but it continues to happen almost or even more than once every single day. One of our sponsors today is Blue Chew, a unique online service delivering the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. And they're giving my audience an entire month's supply for free. So if you think you could benefit from an extra boost of confidence when it's time, all you have to do is take a short quiz on their website. A licensed doctor approves your prescription. The medication comes straight to your home within days in a discreet package. No driving around to the doctor's office or the pharmacy. No waiting around. No awkward conversations with your doctor. All of Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA. The entire process is just a few clicks. Go to bluechew.com. The link is underneath this video. They'll give you an entire month's supply for free when you use the promo code PACMAN. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping.